Hello everyone, myself Umi Mehta, and in operating system, let us discuss what are the various structure of the operating system. So, these are the list of operating system structure: monolithic system, layered system, microkernel, client server model, virtual machines. In virtual machine, there is VM370 virtual machine rediscovered, the Java virtual machine, and the exokernels. These are the operating system structure. Let us discuss it one by one. The first one is monolithic systems. So the entire operating system run as a single program in kernel mode. So the main important thing about monolithic system that the entire operating system is run on a single program in the kernel mode. Operating system is written as a collection of procedure linked together into a single large executable binary program, and each procedure has a well defined interface in terms of parameter and results, and each one is free to call any other one. So there is a main procedure, server procedure, service. So this is main, this is service, and this is utility procedure. So a main program that invoke the requested service procedure, a set of service procedure that carry out the system calls, and the set of utility procedure that help the service procedure. So these are the uh, different types of procedures. That a main program that invoke the requested service procedure, which is main procedure, then a set of service procedure that carry out the system calls, and a utility procedure that help the service procedure. So this is the monolithic system. The next one is layered system. In this system, the OS is organized as a hierarchy of layers. So the first system constructed in this way was this system. So here are the architecture of or the layer of the system. That layer 0 is processor allocation and multiprogramming. Layer 1 memory and RAM management. Layer 2 operator process communication. Layer 3 input output management. Layer 4 user programs. Layer 5 the operator. So these are the layered base system. This 5 layer is total 6 layers 0 to 5, and each and every layer has its own function. So for 0 it's provide the basic multiprogramming of the CPU, is deal with allocation of the processor, switching between processes when interrupts occurred or timer expired. Then layer 1, it's did the memory management, allocate space for process in main memory, and on a 512k word drum used for holding parts of processes for which there was no room in memory. The layer 2 is handles communication between each process and the operator console. Layer 3 takes care of managing the IO devices, buffering the information. Layer 4 user programs were found, and in layer 5 operator was located. So this is the architecture of the layer based system. The next one is microkernel. So these are the user programs, processes. This is in user mode, drives, servers. This is the microkernel handles, interrupts, process scheduling, IPC. So this is the user mode, this is the kernel mode. So kernel contains what is in microkernels. In kernel portion there is only SYS, which is a kernel call handler, clock, because scheduler interact with it. So this two things only in the micro kernel system, in the kernel mode only. So this is the user mode. The driver, server, user programs all are in the user mode. So in layered approach, the designer have a choice where to draw the kernel and user mode boundary. It is better to put as little as possible in kernel mode because bugs in the kernel can bring down the system instantly. So the microkernel design provides high reliability by splitting operating system up into small well-defined modules. Only one module run in kernel and rest of all run in user mode. So what happen in the if we put so many stuffs in kernel, so whenever a kernel crash or whenever any bug is occur, the kernel bring down suddenly and the system stop. So what is the microkernel design actually? It provides high reliability because of we are splitting operating system in a such a way that we are only putting a small well defined modules in the kernel, and any other part we are putting in the user mode. Okay, so as each device driver run as a user process, a bug in audio driver will cause the sound to be stopped but not crash the computer. So this is the best example how we get high reliability, because we are run use device driver as a user process. So example of the microkernel is Integrity, K42, QNX, Symbian and Minix 3. The fourth one is client server model. So processes is divided into two categories: server which provides services and clients which uses services. So this is the machine 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is the machine 1 is a client, machine 2 is file server, machine 3 is process server, machine 4 is terminal server. So this server provide various different types of services while client is uses that services. So using this network, and there is a various communication between this client and server. So here it is message from client to server. So client and server run on different computers connected by a LAN or WAN and communicate via message passing. So it is either connected by LAN or WAN, and it is communicate via message passing techniques. So to obtain a service, a client construct a message saying what it wants and send it to server. The server then does the work and send back the answer. So this is the client server model. The next one is virtual machines. So the initial releases of operating system 360 were strictly batch system, but many users wanted to be able to work interactively at a terminal. So OS designer decided to write time sharing system for it. So the types of virtual machine are VM370, virtual machine rediscovered, and the Java virtual machine. So in in virtual machine 370s, virtual machine monitor run on the bare hardware and does the multi-programming. So it is run on this bare hardware and does the multi-programming. Now each virtual machine is identical to the true hardware. Each one can run any OS that will run directly on the bare hardware. So on VM370 some run OS 360 while the other runs single user interactive system called CMS, conversational monitor system for interactive time sharing user. So here it is system call, and this is virtual 370. So IO instruction here and trap here. This is the how actually VM370 was built on bare hardware. So when CMS program executed a system call, a call was trapped to the operating system in its own virtual machine, not on the VM370. So CMS then issued the normal hardware IO instruction for reading its virtual disk or whatever was needed to carry out the call. So this IO instruction were trapped by VM370, which then performs them. So this is the concept of how actually virtual 370 will work. The next one is virtual machine rediscovered. So companies can run their mail servers, web servers, FTP servers and other servers on the same machine without having a crash of one server bring down the rest. So at a one system, same machine, the companies run their mail, web, FTP and other servers. So web hosting company offers virtual machine for rent, where a single physical machine can run many virtual machines. Each one appears to be a complete machine. And customer who rent a virtual machine can run any operating system or software. So this is basically used in companies that where we require a virtual different machine for different servers. And another use of virtualization is for end users who want to be able to run two or more operating systems at the same time, say Windows and Linux. So this is the most important thing that we are using in recent also, that we want to same in same system we want different operating system. So type 1 hypervisor runs on the bare hardware. Type 2 hypervisor run as application program on top of Windows, Linux or some other operating system known as the host operating system. Okay, so this is the way you can do that. And the third one is Java virtual machine. So when Sun Microsystem invented the Java programming language, it also invented a virtual machine called the Java virtual machine. So here it is Java source code, then Java compiler converted into bytecode. Bytecode is loaded into Java virtual machine. In that there is a Java interpreter that is going to give to operating system. So the Java compiler produces code for Java virtual machine, which then typically executed by a software JVM interpreter. So the advantage is that the JVM code can be shipped over the internet to any computer that has a JVM interpreter and run that code. So this is the advantage, okay, of virtual machines. The next is exokernels. So rather than cloning, copying the actual machine, another strategy is partitioning it. So giving each user a subset of the resources. For example, one virtual machine might get disk block 0 to 1023. So the next one might get block 1024 to 2047 and so on. So program running at the bottom layer, kernel mode, is called the exokernel. So its job is to allocate resources to virtual machine and then continuously check to make sure no machine is trying to use somebody else's resources. So this is important, or this is the main job of the kernel mode. It allocated resources and then check that no machine is trying to use somebody else's resources. So the advantage of the exokernel scheme is that it saves a layer of mapping. So this is the various structure of the operating system that we discussed here. Okay, thank you.